remember you that we are going to record, I can repeat, we are going to record this session. So this session is being recorded in order to you can to the contents of the session afterwards. So welcome, and I'm trying. Oh, okay. Now
Tony, probably if you
the sound is
turn
not
off
good.
your video. Turn off your video just in case.
I'm going to try to turn the video off, turn off. Okay. Hope it's better now. But I have a, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I know what's happening. That's the computer is working on sending. Okay. Hope you can there and before to start. This is the open science components. Today we are going to talk about open access and just a little bit about open evaluation and open infrastructures. But we are going to focus mainly on open access, which means that we are going to talk about open access publications. It is quite different to open source, and it's quite different to open data. So let's focus today on open access, and let's focus on open access publications. And this is the menu, right? We're going to have let's say 9 different subjects. We will make an introduction. We will try to talk about W's, which means why are we talking about this? Why this is important today? We're going to talk about the open access routes, the different versions of the paper, what it is preprints and open peer review, and why it is important now. We're going to talk a little bit about repositories. What are the types and uses of the repositories? We're going to talk a little bit also about social networks, scientific social networks, mainly ResearchGate and academia.edu or Mendeley. And let's try to explain what is predatory publishers, why they appear, and how we can identify them, and what are the risks if we publish in this kind of predatory publishers or predatory journals. And let's give some guidance about how to choose a good open science journal. And last, we will talk about the very controversial initiative from the Coalition S, which is an organization that we will talk about later. That is a very controversial, okay? There's a lot of research and publication around Plan S, so let's try to explain what it is. And before to start, just remember that we have an Open Science Cafe, which is practicing open science from open area perspective at 1 o'clock by Irina Kuchma from Open Access, who is the Open Access Program Manager at EIFL, and you are kindly invited to the Open Science Cafe if you want. And well, remember too that we have this blog, how can we publish in the blog? Okay, you can publish in the blog because we give permission to every student. So there's someone who already published. The login name is the your NIA, your identification number at the university, only that number, and you can recover your password because you don't have a password, but you can recover from I lost my password, and an email will be sent to your email account from the university, right? So that's the blog for the evaluation, and there is already some, at least one of the students have published something, and we will try to reply later. That's right. Thank you, Eva. Okay. What is open access? Because this was a question that that rise last day at the last moment. What is open access? One of the most formal definition of open access comes from one of the declaration of open access. Open access have many declarations. One of them is the Berlin Declaration. But this one is quite simple. Open access refers to online, free of cost access to peer-reviewed scientific content with limited copyright and licensing restrictions. It means that we must be able to access for free to scientific publications, and we have the right to distribute or to the restrictions that the copyright or the license restrict us. But usually restrictions should be, doesn't matter, it's not the more correct word. It means that we have to recognize the work of whoever has published something in some peer review journal. Publication is considered open access then if it is freely accessible. It means at no cost. The copyright owner grants for a limited period to the use, to the copy or distribute the article with the condition of proper attribution. And this used to be very controversial for people who work with patents or who work with laws, people from the from law. Let me tell you something. We are talking about publications where we have to distinguish something, okay? We have the intellectual property rights. Those rights are always yours from the author. And we have the copyright, the commercial exploitation of those publications, right? So those concepts are very different. Intellectual property rights and copyright, commercial rights. So you never lose your intellectual property rights, but what we should do when we publish in a journal is to give our rights, our commercial, the rights of our results to the publisher. And that's something that the European Union or the open access movement want to open. It means that if you receive money from public funds, please don't give the commercial rights, the commercial right for exploitation to someone who again can get money from public funds. So many funders, the people who give money for research, is considering, I'm paying twice or three times for the same. Funders like the European Commission or like the Spanish government is considering, okay, I'm paying to a researcher for make the research. Then the research publish the results and give for free the commercial rights to the publisher, and then I have to go back and buy the results via library or via someone that buys something again to the publisher. So they are paying twice for the same product. So that is what we are talking about. Don't pay in public fund, don't pay with public money two times for the same product. Well, the third consideration is that if we publish something, it must be deposited because it must be discoverable. What it means, it's not only that I publish something and I upload to my folder in my personal webpage. It must be deposited somewhere where search engines and others can discover the results of the research funded with public money. I'm not going to stop very much here. This is the very simple life cycle of scholarly communication. We have an idea, we make data collection, research analysis, which usually takes some time in, a very more than 50% of our work when we make research is the data collection part. Then we used to write to make a creative process of authoring, writing articles or books or going to conference and so on. Those those authoring parts are going for a peer review where there is someone, usually reviewers, journal editors, subject expert if we are making a report, and here is the Gordian knot. It's we have to control the rights of our own work. Rights management, it's author control. If we decide for a closed, because everybody wants to publish in very prestigious journals. So usually prestigious journals are all journals, and they are they have a consideration of they have a very good impact factor, so they used to keep the rights of our work. So we have, with the rights management part, we have two choices: an open choice or a closed choice, to choose a commercial journals or to choose an open access journals. We are not saying that open access journals are a better route than a closed journal. What the institutions are moving on, what they are trying to do is to open the science, because open the publication has a lot of advantage. And this is very controversial because publishers are earning a lot of money, and they are earning a lot of money based on a lot of works funded with public money. So if we think about COVID, you know, okay, the pharmaceutical companies have the right to make money with because they have invest a lot and they make the production, but the governments also have put a lot of money for research in COVID. So there must be some kind of balance. And right now, in the publisher world, that is very unbalanced. I will tell you a little bit later about the money if you want, but it's very unbalanced. Everything for the private companies and nothing or very few for the for the rest of the world. So institution is also considering that if we make open publications, if we make public funded publications open, then we can accelerate and society can take a lot of advantage of science. Well, and finally, we have to publish, we have to discover and via library, via repository, via search engines. These are the benefits of open access. This was on a slide that Eva projected last day. Just well, open access publications make you gain visibility. It's democratizing the science. It's accelerating the knowledge transfer. It's facilitating teaching and learning outcomes. It's providing the participation of citizens, because citizens cannot access. There's a lot of people who cannot access to articles that cost sometimes, even for, think about this. Sometimes you're looking for, let's say, publication about, last research about lung cancers, because you have someone in your family that some friend that have a cancer. Sometimes to access to those kind of publications where researchers are talking about the last treatments or the last advances in that kind of cancer, there's a lot of people who cannot access because there are a lot of publications behind the wall. When we say behind the wall, we mean that there is that you have to pay for that. Sometimes you have to pay 50 euros, but sometimes you have to pay 300 euros, and that's not affordable for most of the citizens, normal citizens. And we are not talking now about not developed countries. Well, we have seen a little bit of this. Let me tell you a little bit. My background is in mass communication, in journalism. So I don't know if you know about the 5 W's. The 5 W are questions whose answers are considered basic in information gathering or problem solving. Okay, according to this model, the 5 W's, a report or a publication can consider it complete if you answer these questions. Mainly is who say or make what, when, where, and why, or what for. And some people also add, for example, and how you do that, or so. So I would like to talk first about the who. This is important for who. Who are the stakeholders of this? The stakeholders of these are, we can group them in 5 parts. The funders can be public and private, and the funders is the people who pay the money. Think about your own research. You have a scholarship, there is sometimes that scholarship is a public scholarship for the Ministry of Education. So we are talking about the government department. Sometimes you are hired, you have a scholarship because a research group hire you because they have a project. So sometimes it's a European project. So this is a funder, it's the European Union. So when we talk about funders, we have to distinguish mainly, funding of the research comes from European Union in form of money for hire people to make research, from government department, Ministry of Education, industry, or whatever, from research councils, from, in Spain, we have the CSIC, Consejo Superior de Investigaciones Científicas, but in other countries, like the USA, they have the National Institute of Health, or in the UK, they have the UK Medical Research Center also. And then we have also, the industry. There is a lot of financial funds. There's, I'm talking about, the financial world, the people who play in the stock markets, they put a lot of money for making research in the vaccines, or for making research in green technology and so on. And we also have charities or foundation like the Bill Gates Foundation or Wellcome Trust Foundation, but also the FFID or whatever. We have some funders. In Spain, one of the main funders is the Agencia Estatal de Investigación, who designed the national plan of research for every 4 or 5 years. The second group of stakeholders, so these people put money on the table, right? And that money is taken by authors. Authors are mainly researchers, early career researchers or senior researchers, or middle career researchers. Those authors mainly work at universities, at research councils, national research councils, well, sometimes in industries. Very typical in Europe to work, or in the USA to work, to be a researcher in the industry. It's not so normal in Spain, but well, we're moving to that plan. The third group of stakeholders are the publishers. And we have to distinguish between private publishers and non-for-profit. Big publishers are Elsevier, Springer Nature, Wheeler, Taylor and Francis, and Sage. These big five, they cover more than 50% of all scientific publication on the world. Okay, so only 5 big publishers are controlling more than 50% of scientific publication. Some of them have very, very important journals with very important journal impact factor. Some of them have also open access journals and so on. They control almost everything. Then we have small and medium publishers. Publishers, that control. Usually, they control 1 to 10 to 15 journals. We have also publication service. Publication services like the Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, Mead Press, but also in Spain we have some important publishers, the universities, Complutense. We have an association of publishers at national levels. And then we have scientific societies who also, some of them have a very important part of the pie. Scientific societies are, for example, American Chemical Societies, that owns more than 10 journals, or the American Medical Association, or the American Psychology Association, or there is much more. And this scientific society, sometimes they publish for free, but sometimes they make a lot of money. For example, the people who work in the chemical sector, have been, very enemies, I would say enemies of the open access movement. Why? Because there is a lot of money behind, chemical journals. Indeed, this society, American Chemical Society, who owns a lot of chemical journals, a big part of the benefit they have more than, years ago. I'm talking out, with numbers. I guess I remember is. Around 2010 they earned more that the benefit was more than $300 million. More than 75% of the benefits come from very expensive journal. Just for curiosity, the Institute of Electric, it's a kind of scientific society, Ignacio. It's the Institute of Electron. Yes, it is what we call learning society. Yeah, and then we have the last group of stakeholder intermediaries. We have a lot of intermediaries, and listen, every time we this movement open access is bringing much more intermediates. Until let's say 10 years ago, we have like intermediaries libraries. Why we have libraries as intermediaries? I don't know if you know. Just to give you an idea, I don't remember the the last numbers of the budget, but just to give you an idea, the budget of the library at University Carlos III of Madrid, only for having access to electronic journals and to buy books. I mean, we are not talking with budget to pay the librarians, or to pay the computers, or to pay the space. No, just to for acquisition, for buying electronic database, electronic journals, books, and so on. It may be more than $500,000 a year. So we are talking about a lot of money. And until a few years ago, library was almost the only intermediaries. And that's something that there has been a very big change. The big change, it's the advent of the internet, of course. If 10 years or 20 years ago you wanted to access a journal, you have to talk with the library. There was no way to do that without the library, because it was so expensive. You have to buy, you have to make so big process for it, that the library was the only. Now we have a lot of more intermediates. I have paid to people to make a report for my assessment, like a senior professor. In Spain we have sexennials. Every 6 years, a tenure professor must be evaluated. Now we have people that we can pay and say, hey, please do this for me. It can be done also by the library for free, but you can pay a service. You can, libraries, the universities are paying service. Oh, I want to make a profile of the publication of my researches. So there is a lot of services now around, this new habitat. This is a kind of the top of this slide is the research ecosystem, because funders has a relationship with the libraries. What is the relationship with the library from funders? The relationship is that the funders are paying to the authors for making research. Then the authors publish something in a very prestigious journal, which is very expensive. And the library, even if the author works at your own university, have to pay for that journal. Okay? And then we have well, and other services. We have aggregators and so on. Okay, I was taking a look to the chat. Okay, this is the who, the ecosystem, who are the people who are involved in all these. And then, I'm sorry because I have problem to pass I have very bad connection. And those stakeholders are living in a habitat. This ecosystem. Let's try to explain what have changed. This movement began to change in, let's say, around 2002. Okay, and it began to change in 2002. I'm not going to stop very much time with this. In 2002, there was a very well-known report, and we talk about the cereal crisis. What is the cereal crisis? It was a report that underscored that from 1986 to 2003, the increase of journal prices was 260%. But the consumer price index was only the 64%. What it means? It means that, and believe me, it's the same. We are in 2021, and the difference between the rise of price of journal prices and the rise of consumer price index, it's very unbalanced. That means that libraries are spending 200% more, but they are only getting 1400% more of journals. So libraries when I'm saying libraries, but you have to think in public institutions, research councils, researchers in general. So libraries, they are spending a lot of more money every time, every year, more money for less journals, or at least less journal with a very good impact factor to explain that. So funders say, hey, I'm giving you money, and I have to give you money too for your library by the journal. So this is crazy. We are paying twice. Okay, so with the economic crisis, I'm talking now, the last economic crisis, 2007, 2009, it depends on the country where we are talking, labs have had to cut the funding, and governments have to cut a lot of public goods. What we said public goods, it's okay. Why do I have to put money on universities? Why do we have to put money on researchers? Why do we have to put money on libraries? You have to demonstrate that research is important. The perception have changed with COVID, because it has demonstrated that if we open the science like we did it in COVID-19, we can accelerate the vaccines, or we can accelerate almost in every field. But until now, university researching was, okay, should we give so much money? And a very important part of the money used to go for the publishing business. So funders were thinking that they were paying 3 times for the same. They were paying to the universities, and they were paying for the authors, and they were paying also for the models, and they were paying also for the libraries. And so they said, we have to stop this. We cannot pay. We have to, to put the money, to invest the money in a more efficient way. So why this this funding, this cut of funding because of economic crisis, what has secondary effects was are some of those effects in the research area. Well, there is more pressure to publish. If you want to be if you want to get a tenure track position at the university, you know that you have to publish. So this pressure to publish, it's very determinant for the research assessment, to get the job, to get to be a full professor or an associate professor at the university. So researchers are very pressured to publish, and these have also secondary effects. I have to publish very quick, so I must be willing to pay a little bit if I can publish it before my colleague or before next semester, because I have to produce. So we are not doing good science. We are focusing on quantities, not on qualities. And this is why the European Union, but also in the United States and some other countries, are trying to change, these habits of focus on quantities and not on qualities. This has new expectation. Okay, publishers don't want to lose the business, so they say, okay, let's change the habitat. Until now, we were paying for read. Okay, you have the library and you can access to the scholarly journals, to the article, because you pay for them. And now, okay, you don't want to pay. You want to focus on public access. Okay, open access for everybody, but then you have to pay for publish because I have to keep my business. I think that public institutions, they're not willing to finish with the publishing model. They just want to make more balance. They don't want to destroy jobs or works from the publishing industry, which is a very important industry. They just want to make balance. Okay, we're kind of the victim, but also the accomplice to read. Yeah, Ignacio. I'm not seeing very much the chat, but yeah, researchers are part of the problem, I guess. Okay, new expectation is, because researchers want early citation. I need to be cited. I need to be published. Everything, it's going very quick. And there is, new rules. Okay, if you have money, you have mandate to publish, and you have to deposit and you have to make your publication open access. But then, the publisher said, no, I can make you open access, but you have to wait 6 months of embargo, which means that, well, you publish on the journal and then wait for 6 months, and then you can give it for free. Okay, so we're suffering some digital transformations, changes in velocity to get the data, to get published, changing the scope. Now, you can publish something and be read in China or in Australia. And we have new stakeholders. We have search engines, we have repositories, and we have new publishing system. And this is also changing the habitat for the libraries, that now they are not the only one who intermediate. This is a when and where. This is a timeline of the open access movement. Well, I don't want to stop here very much. Let's say that remember that the World Wide Web started in 1990, 1989. or 1990. One of the first in work on that was in this field of open access, where was in the field of physics with the archive. Archive, for those of you that don't know, is a it's a model of preprint server. We will talk about later. Well, this is it's a timeline of open access. I'm not going to stop on this very much because you can take a look. I don't want to talk about the story of open access. If you are interested, we can do that. We can talk a little bit. Okay. And let's finish with why and what for open access now in early career research. Let me tell you, we need changes. We need changes because, as COVID has demonstrated, we need more innovation. We need to accelerate. We need to accelerate the research. We need to be more innovative, and we need to incorporate early career researchers. So changes are already coming. Changes are almost here, and changing must come also from bottom up. One of the problem of the open access movement probably are the researchers, because there is not enough awareness about what it means. So this is the open science alignment. We have some research values: transparency, replicability, open dialogue, knowledge sharing, and we have also some practice, open access sharing, and some incentives. And the incentives for the early career researcher is to be hired and to get a tenure position, or to get promotion, or to get funding. So the European Union, and this is part of this part comes from the last Open Science Cafe from Costa Glinos. He is one of the general director at the European Union. He said, we are changing. We are trying to change the research assessment system. Right now, you need to have a lot of publication in journal with impact factors, where sometime to publish there can cost you 3,000 euros, which is sometimes double than your salary. So they are saying in 2021, in this year, they are launching a debate among policymakers, research funders, research performers, scientific publisher, and other stakeholders. And what they are trying to do for the next year is to make a memorandum of understanding, which is a kind of agreement between universities and research. So they are changing the assessment, and they are changing the assessment based on this DORA, which is DORA. Oh, here this should be which is DORA. DORA is a declaration of research assessment. You can take a look at the website, but this have a link to go to DORA. Indeed, the Agencia Estatal de Investigación, who is a very important part in Spain, it's a very important union in Spain who put the money for research in Spain. In April, I'm talking last month, they were signatory of DORA. DORA is a declaration. This is in Spanish. Sorry. One of the main recommendation of DORA is stop to use the metrics. Right now, everything, when you make an assessment for a young researcher, everything is focused on metrics. And that's a nonsense, because let's say in law field, books, or in humanities, books is are more important output than journals, and we are not measuring that. And think about this. Sometimes it doesn't matter where you publish. I publish in a quartile 1, but nobody read. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just said, hey, I have published it in this very important journal, which is in quartile 1. Yes, but no one has read your paper. No one has cited your paper. So what's the importance of your paper? Yeah, you have been published in quartile 1, but what's the impact of your work? No one. Sometimes you can publish there because you're a friend of the editor, or I don't want to mean that, but for whatever reason they are publishing because you are paying, or for whatever reason you are published. Congratulations. If you're not cited, what it means. Sometimes some people publish in a quartile 3, yeah, but they get 200 citations. So it's more important to write in quartile 1 or in quartile 3. They want to change that. They want to measure not only by metrics, by what is the impact of your research. This is the last. This is from this week. There is a letter for a radical change in research evaluation in Spain, because there is a lot of countries who are trying to move, like Netherlands, by example. Things are changing little by little. Yeah, little by little. Okay, and this is the reason why we are trying to make awareness. That's the reason of this kind of sessions, to not to convince, but to be, to make awareness, that you be aware that what is coming, the way that, in 2-3 years, the way that you are going to be evaluated will be changed. I'm desperate because I cannot hear, and my slides move very slowly. Okay, this is also this slide. It's not mine. This is a slide from Christos Glonas, the general director of the. Just to focus on the importance of the money that we are losing for not being open access. There is a study. There's a 3 billion a year for health research worldwide are invested by all by agencies in the world. And he said that as much as 85% may be wasted. Why? It may be wasted because open access reason. Why? Because there are unusable research reports. Why? Because methods and codes are unavailable. There are inadequate information on medical intervention in trials. There are poor study design, and if they are not open, who is going to to criticize that? Sorry, you have been publishing in quartile 1, okay, but your study design is very poor. Behind the wall, publications are non-transparent, and because they are not transparent, because we cannot access, you can make something be published, but it's not very well. It has not very well statistical study, and sometimes you publish and you hide some results. So some results are not fully accessible. and are not accessible because I have not the money to check what's happening. And sometimes you are published, but your results are BSed, have been, you get the data, and there is some conflict of interest, or your population has not been well designed, or so on. Dora, I don't know, Dora disclosure. So open access, it's also a matter of money, that we are losing public money because we cannot check what's happening on behind the design or the results. We cannot check the results or the design of some studies, and we cannot check them because because they are on quarter one. We have not the right, and we have to pay for that. We have not the right to access, and we need access. Okay, what are the main open access routes? Okay, we have mainly two access routes, right? In open access, we have two access routes, and this is very important because sometimes people think that moving to open access means that I cannot publish in prestigious journals. So when a researcher decides where to publish, the first thing you should do, we will take a look now, is to check in Sherpa Romeo, which is a survey that we will take a look in a few minutes. You have to decide if you want to publish in an open access journal or in a subscription journal. To publish in open access journal, you probably have some advantage and some disadvantage. And to publish in a subscription-based journal, well, you have some advantage. Usually you have to pay, and you have some disadvantage, which are, you are not going to be so much cited, and sometimes, you can also have less people reading your work because they have to pay for that. So to publish in open access journal, you have the gold open access route. The gold open access route means that you have to pay for article processing charge, what we call APCs. It means, okay, we have journals, and if you want to be published, and believe me, we have gold OR journals, which are in quarter one. Gold OR journals are journals where you can, sometimes some of them are also fully for free. You don't have to pay anything, but some of them you have to pay. This is the model of pay for publish. What are the prices? Well, I can show you later some some tables around about the prices, but in humanities and social science, we are talking from 300 to 3,000 or to 1,000 and almost 2,000. But in the science and engineering, in STM, science, technology, and medicine, we are talking, from 1,000 to 9,000 for publishing one article. I can show you later some numbers about this. What are those advantages? That immediate, very quick publishing system, very quick revisions, and immediately very quick. You can get cited very quickly too, and so on. Okay. It has also more advantages that when you are published, automatically you can be, be discovered by repositories. The other route is the public in a subscription-based journal. Subscription-based journal have some have at least two options. Okay. If option exists, you can go to what we call an hybrid journal, where those are journals where if you pay some money, you can be published, okay? Or you can decide, okay, if I don't want to pay, so you are not going to open. That's another route, right? That's another route. So best way, let's take a look. Let's make a stop here and let's take a look to what is Sherpa Romeo. This is another open access route, bronze or articles that are free to read. Some journals, what they do is to give articles for free, but they retain the copyright. So it's not clear what kind of license they have. The other routes are diamond or platinum routes, which are pure open access. It means that they no make charge for APC. Mainly, there is a lot of universities that have some important journals in very specific fields, and so they don't. This is a work done by departments or by friends at the universities or research council. So they don't they publish for free, but it has an effort to get published. And then we have the black web. Black open access is what everybody knows, which is Science Hub, but also through Twitter, Icon has PDF. I don't know if you know open. I have seen that Eva have published with this Sherpa Romeo. I will try to. Okay, we are in 16. If you take a look to Sherpa Romeo, you have the. I'm going to move from my slide because my connection is giving me some problems. But if you go to Sherpa Romeo, you can take a look what we are talking about. Let's look, you can take a look for a journal, and it's going to give you a lot of information. I don't know if someone wants to give the name of a journal. If not, we can use, okay. If you look for El Profesional de la Información, it's a journal, from the library science. But if you say, please go into Sherpa Romeo and look for a journal, you can find a lot of information here. This is very good because this is an hybrid journal. You can see the title, you can see the international standard serial number, print and electronic. Take a look at it because they are different. The URL, the publisher of this, and the publisher policy. Take a look. I don't know if I'm sharing this screen, so maybe you are not taking a look. Are you taking a look to El Profesional de la Información, to Sherpa Romeo and El Profesional de la Información? There is someone listening to me? Okay. Thank you, Natalia, and thank you, Paul. But gold open access is more or less open than green access. Okay. Okay, thank you, Rebecca, because you're sharing the del profesional de la información. Okay, if you take a look there, you can see the publisher policy. I will answer later. The publisher version, and if you see this, there is an icon of a sandwich with said 6 months. It means that the publishing version, you cannot publish the the publishing version before 6 months. It has an embargo, and you can publish in any repository on in author's page. You can publish the accepted version in any repository. We will see what is an accepted version and what is a submitted version. And we also have, some recon information. This is a very quick example of which is Sherpa Romeo. Is where you can take a look for every open access journal, right? So this is a very nice tool when you are going to check if you are going to publish in open access or not. Marcos Martin Pozo asked, but gold open access is more or less open than green access. Both of them are open. When we talk about golden open access, that it means that you're going directly first to the journal, and from the journal, you are going to be discovered through a repository. When we're talking about green open access, we are mainly depositing in a repository. It can be from a journal or not, right? Because sometimes you can publish something in a close. Imagine this: you can close something in a subscription-based journal, but that journal can say, okay, if you want to publish here, you have to pay, or you don't have to pay. If you pass the peer review process, you can publish here for free, but it's going to be closed. And you can publish your version after 6 months of embargo. So you can be in both, in a closed wall, but after 6 months you can be published also in a green repository. Okay, sometimes or many times you can publish in a subscription-based journal, but that journal said, okay, you can publish version. We will talk about this in 5 minutes. We can publish the submitted version in a repository, so you can be both, okay, in a closed-based journal and in a green. So if you ask, is more or less open green than gold? No, they are different routes, but both of them are open, so both of them are good routes. What are the versions of a paper? We're talking about this. These are the tools, Sherpa Romeo. We also have another tool which is Sherpa Juliet. Sherpa Juliet, it sounds very similar. I don't know, you can hear because it's not working. Okay, let's send. Okay, Sherpa lets you check what's going on with the funders, to check, okay, I got money from the European Union. I have to check if this journal where I want to publish is compliant with the European Union, or with the funder where you have the money for your work. So version of the paper, just to clarify, a preprint. Sometimes you publish in a closed journal, and they said, okay, this is going to be closed, but you can publish the preprint. The preprint or the submitted version of the author manuscript is a draft before format peer review. So sometimes you can deposit the preprint in a server, and then if you get published, it doesn't matter where, you have the preprint published. This is a very good route also. You are green, And well, the published version is another thing, and maybe there is some changes, but the main, the main results and the main corpus of your article is on the server, right? On the repository. The other version of the paper is the postprint, and some very important and closed journals, they are not open, but they say, okay, we are not open, but you cannot publish the published version, but you can publish the postprint. The postprint is the accepted version. The author accepted manuscript is the final version of the manuscript after the formal peer review. What's the difference with the published version? That you cannot publish the logo and the editing, the version published in the journal with the name of the journal, the logo of the journal, and so on. Okay, and then we have the published version, also known as the version of record or the publisher's PDF, and this is the version of the manuscript as it is published. Okay, these are the different version of the paper. So when you are going to publish, it doesn't matter if you are deciding to publish in, quartile 1, very good impact factor, but it's closed. Okay, it's closed, but a lot of those journals, which are subscription-based journal, and we consider them closed, they let you publish the preprint, the postprint, and sometimes the published version is also after a long embargo, sometimes 1 year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years, and with some conditions, a link to the journal or something like that. But you always have the options, publish where you want, but use always the options or open access. It is not incompatible. It is compatible. So do it. Publish where you want, but look for the root to be at least green. To be at least green. It means to deposit in a preprint or in a postprint version in a repository, which is open access. Time is going very fast. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what is open peer review. One of the problems of the assessment is that we only want to publish articles. I don't want to make a peer review. Why do I have to waste my time making peer review for others or for the publishers for free? They don't pay me when I review a lot of articles, believe me, in a year. But why do I have to do that? They don't pay me for that. Nobody recognizes me, my job, because it's a blind peer review, because my name is never make publish. I did this review. Sometimes I can, maybe I want or maybe I don't want. One of the changes is to make open peer review. So this is a very important part of my job. When I make review, I try to discover is the inside, the study is well designed, the statistics it's consistent, and so I have any reward for this kind of job. So open peer review, will be another kind. I don't want to say metrics, but something to reward. This is a job that you make like a senior researcher. So there must be some kind of reward for this. Open peer review is an umbrella. It's a term for a number of different models. What means? I just want to make some mention. What means peer review? It means that we reveal what's the name of the authors and the reviewers. Most of the journals are blind. It means that you submit an article, and when you submit an article, you don't know who is the one who is reviewing, who's making the review. You don't know the name of the reviewer, and sometimes the reviewer is someone from another university. You are competing with them in a field for different research lines of or is someone that is competing with you at the university. It has advantage and disadvantage to know who is reviewing your work. Another thing is not reviewing the names, but reviewing the reports. Okay, this is my article, and this is the report of the discussion about with my articles. Problem in sound? Are you listening to me, Amar? Okay, thank you. Okay. There is another kind of open peer review, which is open participation. Okay. It's a peer review where you publish your article, and before to be publisher, you can make the community can contribute to the review process. This is something that happens in physics, for example, when you publish something in server like Archive, places where you can submit an article and people can give some idea what's wrong with your article, what's wrong with your paper, and they suggest some improvement in that kind of article. Open interaction is something very similar, but it's a discussion between authors, reviewers, and it's very encouraged. And open pre-review manuscripts are manuscripts like in Archive that are made available in advance to be published somewhere. And there's also about no open pre-review manuscript, but open final version commenting, which is that you have published something, and when you publish something, that you can also make comments about something that is already published, and then you can make some comments. The tricky point is that you make some comments, but those kind of comments must have some kind of idea. I mean, it could be so important to publish an article, maybe not so important, but it could be also very important to publish an article. But, I can write a comment about one article that it can have more extension than the original article, because I can go into a discussion. So sometimes it's very important. Places, publishers like F1000 Research permit those kind of games, right? And if you have a DOI, a digital object identifier, someone can also cite your works, even if they are only comments. That's all open peer review. And I'm losing my connection because I can see that my sound is not good because I have some signals. Hope you're listening. Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter where you publish. It doesn't matter where you publish. It's better, in my opinion, if you can publish if you have the option to use open access routes. But even if you publish in a closed, in a subscription-based journal, use the repositories. Repositories are it has invested a lot of money. We have let's say 3 kinds of repositories. What we call subject or thematic repositories, archive, in the fields of physics, math, computer science, and believe me, if someone wants to be well known in the field of physics, of math, they used to publish in archive.org, also from other fields, but mainly from physics. We have also Europe PubMed Central for the field of life science. So it doesn't matter where you publish. Look at these repositories. You have a different repositories. If you want to be known in the world of economy, please visit ReBEC and try to publish in ReBEC in order to get more citation from your work, and in order to be discovered and to be compliant with on open access route. We also have institutional repositories. In the University Carlos III, we have the e-archivo, but we also, any university or research center like Digital TESIC or so on, we have institutional repositories, places where you can deposit your manuscript, even if they are not peer review, or you can deposit, just postprint version before to be published, or where you can set them, please, this is my postprint. I will be publishing next year or in 6 months, but you can deposit the postprint and so be discovered before and get the citation from the paper and be compliant with the open science movement or open science route. And then we have a multidisciplinary report, and I would like to mention specifically Zenodo. Zenodo is part of the European infrastructure, and most of the European project, most of the result of European project are being deposited here in Zenodo. So if you don't know what is Zenodo, please take a look, because it's worth at least 5 minutes of your time to discover in all fields, because most of the European projects are working up there. There is now a very new platform from September 2020, which is the Open Research Europe, ORE. ORE, it's a platform. I would say it's a publisher, but it's where the European Union, okay, if you have money from the European Union, you will have to publish in ORE. You will have to deposit your publications, your results in ORE. And this is how it works. They are trying to accelerate the publication process. Think that in the publication process, sometimes it takes 6 months. In the best case, sometimes it takes 1 year or even 2 years to get your paper published. So you can submit an article. There is a very quick publication of your article as a preprint, which is deposited in an accessible repository. Then you can, once you have this preprint published, it starts a peer review process. It's a peer review which is led by your own, and anyone can access to that process. Thank you, Marina. And you can have also, people. It's an open peer review, so people can see what's going on with and the author, because the author is leading the open peer review. You have the publication as a peer review version, and once it's published, it's sent to indexers and repositories. So it has it's not a journal, because it's multidisciplinary, but it's a very It's very well recognized by the European Union as a green route. There is a lot of people using social networks. Oh, why do I have to deposit in my institutional repository because the library, give me some problems. They ask me for permission and they don't want to deposit, and so on. So there is a lot of people using social networks like research. This is an example. This slide is from ResearchGate. And from ResearchGate, I'm going out of time. What's the difference? ResearchGate, let me tell you, it's only half open access. For me, I will say this is not mine. This comes from Ray Tennant, someone very well known in the open access movement. This is a kind of dark sharing. It's open access. Yeah, it is open access because they give you access, but behind ResearchGate, behind academy.edu, what there is a business model. Okay, so they are commercial. They are selling you. Okay, I give you access to for free to some papers, but they are selling commercials, they are selling a lot of email, they are getting from you your address book because they want to know what are your contacts because they want to make business, right? So this is a kind of comparison between academia.eu, ResearchGate, and what is HAL of Zenodo or OR repositories. Okay, take care with this kind of repositories. Why? Because they don't guarantee that your papers will last there for preservation purposes. They hide some metrics and they don't fulfill the OR policies. They are not for the European Union or for the research councils or so. Just take care and take care because they say, okay, we will give you a DOI, a number for identify your document. But if you have your DOI because you have published your document, your article in another in a journal, you are going to have two DOIs for one article. So sometimes that's very confusing for people, making research. So take care with ResearchGate, with social networks of this kind. Let me recommend to you very quick some extensions. These are Chrome extension, open access button, and unpaywall. Okay, these buttons. These buttons are these are extensions for Chrome or for Firefox or even for Safari, and you can use them. And they work this way: you install the extension, and the unpay button. When you go into a web page, they look for a DOI, which is the identifier of the article. And the DOI, if they find a DOI, they try to find an open version of the article. And sometimes you are looking, you're searching in Google Scholar, and you get to the journal. And in the journal, you have a closed article. You have to pay for access to that article. But sometimes there are open versions of the same article. This button can help you to get the article. Even if they are closed, the open access button can help you to request for a copy of the article, which is something legal. And what else? predatory journals. I'm realized that I'm over time. Yeah, I realized that I'm over time. Okay, predatory journals are journals, you know, are mainly a fraud. Are journal and publishers entities that prioritize self-interest, and what they want is to get your money, and how they do that, how why there is so many predatory journal. Okay, there are many predatory journal because there is a lot of business behind open access and behind no open access, behind APCs, because behind article processing charts. Okay, you are pressure, you want to be published, you are pressured to publish a lot. So what they do is, okay, I set up, I set up a new journal, and this journal, I invent some new metrics and some, I invent everything. Names that simulate another names, like this one, American Journal of Information Science Technology. They are making fraud. How do they that? Simulating names that are very similar to very famous journal. They said, okay, if you pay me 2,000, I guarantee that you can be published in my journal. And my journal is very famous because we do the revision very quick, in 1 day, sometimes in 3 days. They simulate that they read your paper, which is false. It's not true, or it's not always true, and they only want your money. And they, oh, no, we are on the Scopus, or we are on another very famous index, and take care with that, because it's sometimes you have to retract your paper. So be careful with the predatory publisher journal. It's a new business area, because we are all pressured to publish very quick, and they are taking profit of that. How to choose? Before to publish, please check. Check if the journal is listed in Web of Science, if the journal is listed in Scopus or in ERI or in similar registries. Ask to other colleagues when you are going to publish something, or do you think that this is a very good journal? Remember, if they don't know about the journal, then you have to suspect about the journal, recheck, read the last issue of the journal, be sure that the same journal is not the same as a similar one, and then read the instruction, read the aims of and scope of the journal, check in Sherpa Romeo in order to take a look if, okay, I can publish the postprint of the preprint version, and that's the way. I'm over time. I'm sorry, because I would like to talk about plan is. But I will stop here. I just want to share with you. Okay, I will share the slide on Aula Global if they are not yet. I just want to share a last link to ESAC, where you can find what's the market of the open access, who are the publisher, what are, just take a look. What are we talking about? We are talking about paying for publish results of research already funded with public money. We have to change the world. We have to change how we are making research and how we are being evaluated. We have to keep out of these crazy metrics. you are better if you have published 30 articles. That's not true. Sometimes you can publish 3 articles and and have more impact than someone that are only publishing one. So we have to change the assessment, and that's the reason why we're teaching here, where we are trying to aware what's happening on the world. Alberto, you have a question? Can you? No? Alberto? No? I can listen to you. Okay, I would like to talk about, but it's late and we need a rest. Especially me, because I have a lot of problems here. You cannot see behind. Okay, thank you very much. Just remember, I will share the presentation. I will be open and I will try to answer questions on the blog. Please remember to use the blog, and remember that we will have a Open Science Cafe in this link, bit.ly. You are kindly open. Irina Kuchman will talk about OpenAIRE, which is a very famous, very well-known in European infrastructure. Thank you all. I will stay here for a while. And we will keep seeing. Camille, you can talk?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thanks a lot for the presentation. I have a question regarding like these social networks like ResearchGate, academia, and I was wondering, as soon as we put articles on these platforms, like, does it imply something in terms of rights, that may we like lose parts of the rights about these papers, or yeah, I would just be interested in knowing what you would suggest, like, is it good like to put all the articles there or not? Yeah, if you can comment a bit on it.
Okay. Okay. When you just give me a minute. Okay. When you are an early career research, what you want is to be sorry, I don't know where I am. Can you listen me? Yes? Camille, can you listen me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. When you're an early career researcher, what you want is to be cited. What you want is that the people can find your work, okay? Because you want to be, let's say, famous, like that, something like that, okay? So I have nothing against this kind of repositories. For me, if you are an early career researcher, please I put my research on ResearchGate. I don't do nothing for that. I mean, I do nothing for that, but they get my research. So please do it. But the only thing I can tell you is, please take care with your privacy, because they want your address book. So take some, restriction, take some measures in order to avoid that they can access to your address book, but mainly the most important thing is, if you put it on ResearchGate, well done. I don't have anything against that, but please do the same in another open access repository. It has to be only a complement, because if you put it on ResearchGate, you are not giving any kind of copyright for them. Because if you want to be an open access it's better when you are multiplying the possibilities or be finded, be discovered. But if you do that for ResearchGate, never forget to do the same in an institutional repository, because tomorrow ResearchGate go in bankrupt. Okay, what's happening with your papers, with your articles? You will lost everything. So don't take that risk. It must be a complement. Please, if you do it, deposit also in another open access repository. But there is nothing. You are not giving them permission, special permission. You are not losing your intellectual property right, and you are not losing your copyright. But another thing is the policy of ResearchGate, because they sometimes, they, let's say that they are very flexible with the version that they find of your. Sometimes they published versions. uh, they have not the rights to do that, but that's a problem between that must be a problem. If you don't deposit, they find and they put to your name. You are not going to have let's say legal problems with them.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. Thanks.
You are not going to have problems with them for that.
Okay.
So I'm going to let's share this. I'm sorry, I was saying thank you. Yeah, I have problems with my equipment today. I don't know what's happening here. Uh, Thank you very much. Uh, you will have the slides on Aula Global. Hope you can take a rest now, and hope to see you on the cafe, and also we will keep talking on the blog. Um, Thank you very much. I will stop the recording right now.